Hello, I am Kendrick Shope, your host of Sell Like a Woman. And today, I must confess, I feel a little bit like a kid at Christmas. I have the man, the myth, the legend, a sales god here with us today. I still don't know how we made this happen, but the one and only Mr. Grant Cardone.
Oh, Kendrick, you're embarrassing me now.
No, I'm serious. My people know about you, Grant, because I talk about you all the time. I have learned so much from you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. We're gonna talk about Grant's latest book, which I was fortunate enough to get an early copy of, and I have to tell you, I think it may be your best yet.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, let's dive in. We're gonna talk about you must be obsessed to be a great salesperson and create the life of your dreams. So, Grant, let's talk about this.
Okay.
You share more in this book about your personal life, about your struggles than I have seen before or that I've read before.
Yeah.
And it's such a breath of fresh air to hear where you were before you were Grant Cardone.
Right.
So my first question is, you talk about that first day back on the car lot, on the auto dealership after rehab.
Yeah.
After things sort of fell apart and hit rock bottom. And you made a flipping sale. Day one, page 15 of your book, you made a sale.
I know.
How does that happen?
I don't know, because I didn't know what I was doing. That's for sure. So the story here. Let me just bring you back a second. This is my 7th book.
Yeah.
And my 19th sales or business program. So a lot of people don't know. A lot of people know me because of the books, but before that, I've done 12 best-selling programs. Like, we just released a program last week called Mastering Objections, probably in 30 years, one of the best pieces of work I've ever done, 5 hours. I consider myself an artist in this space. So, like, if you've ever talked to an artist, I collect original art, and there's a guy that I collect some of his stuff, and I'm like, what's your favorite piece, And he's like, well, at different times in my career, it's different things, but if I go back over and then he starts talking about each piece. Well, we did this program called Mastering Objections. I spoke for 5 hours in a seminar setting on how to handle objections. And I walked away and I'm like, dude, that was like brilliant. I knew I'd hit my Van Gogh moment, right? And I'm telling you that because over my career, 33 years now, people have been asking me for a book on myself, on like my life story. Like, people that get to know me, like, dude, you need to write about your story.
Yeah. Because
people see me now, like, living on the 33rd floor and having the studio and on Steve Harvey and doing all that stuff. Well, that hadn't always been my life.
And I think that for our audience, it's so compelling. It's going to be so compelling because a lot of my audience is starting over. They're women who want a fresh start, who want to go out and change the world like you have. And so to hear it's possible.
Yeah. In the 10th grade, my life changed. Like, everything was upperly mobile for me, 8 years old, 9 years old, 12 years old. Everything was pretty cool, dude. And then at the 10th grade, man, I started like crash and burn.
Yeah.
And that would last, this wreck, this middle class kid that was educated, that had clothes, that had a good upbringing, a good mom and a good dad, started going downhill. It was 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, and 5 years of college. By the time I was 25, I was busted up, broken. I was in a rehab for drug addiction, a drug addiction that I'd been suffering with for 9 years. Every day waking up, I'm going to quit today, I'm going to quit today, I'm going to quit today. No drug addict wants to be a drug addict.
No.
And by the way, nobody that gets addicted to drugs started out with that as their goal. It wasn't like, I'm going to become a junkie. So, when I got back out of treatment, I think I was in treatment 28 days. Insurance ran out. They kicked me out of the place. Before I leave, the guy says, "You'll never make it."
Yeah.
And
it's awful. I mean, like, I'm reading it, I'm like, holy cow.
No,
I talk about a kick in the pants.
I think he thought it was an inspiration to me, And he probably, I don't think so. That was not an inspiration.
Yeah.
I think some people are going to misread that and say, oh, because he told you weren't going to make it, then you did, then you decided to. I mean, what happened for me was the next day I went to work. I went to a car dealership. And I was so terrified. Like, you would have thought I'd been working there 2 years. I thought that day was the first day I'd been there. I literally didn't know where my office was. It was the first day I had without drugs for 9 years.
Yeah.
And I had never done a deal without being on drugs. I had never sold anything without being on drugs. And, and I made a sale that day, even though I was
You made a sale.
I made a sale?
You made a sale.
I'm like,
that's
I'm back.
What I can't get over. Seriously. Like some people would say, and I think this really plays into the be obsessed mentality, but some people would say, you know what, Grant, just getting up and going to work that day and showing up after what you've been through was a win.
Yeah.
Right. And it was a win. It's a personal win. But no, you got a sale.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm hooked at that moment in the story. I'm like, tell me everything.
Oh, that is awesome. That's awesome. So, you know, basically, you know, and I tell in the story, like, you know, but then the next day I don't sell anything, right? What happens the next week, right? So it's like I'm so unsure of myself because you got to remember, like, people, I know now at 25, I'm 25 at the time, I know what it's like to not have any confidence. Like, I haven't always been able to articulate myself. I have not always been able to extrovert and talk to people. I have not always been able to, like, I'm still today at 58 years old. I'm not comfortable doing interviews and going out talking to people I don't know. So,
well, you sell it pretty dang well at this point.
Well, you do enough of anything. You do enough of anything. Sooner or later, you get comfortable. I mean, or at least you get to start looking like you're comfortable, right?
So that plays into another question I have, because later in the book you talk about after creating, you know, from that moment, from that sale on that first day, you know, you go on to become the top salesperson at the dealership and go on to create what we now know is the infamous sales expert, Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
But you talk about at some point you got your swag back.
Yeah.
That's the word.
Well, what happened was, you see, I had all this, you know, when you're using drugs every day, tremendous amount of time and energy. And if you're listening to this right now, you're like, well, yeah, but I don't use drugs. But you're using some drug. There's some drug you're using. It could be TV. It could be politics. It could be obsessing over a chick or a guy. It could be pornography, or it could be pinball machines, or it could be some little craft you do, or it could be invalidation of yourself. There's something everybody's addicted to. Yeah. And so what I did was I took all this time, probably 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 hours, maybe 8 hours of every day, and I poured it into sales. Oh, by the way, I hated sales. You know?
No way.
I hated it. Like, I didn't like sales. I hated it. And what I did was I decided I'm going to become great at something I hate, and then I'm going to quit it.
I love it.
So I poured all my energy into it. I bought some CDs. Actually, they were videos, and I obsessed on them. I basically got addicted to mastering this thing that I didn't like. I just poured myself into one thing. And within 30 days, I was selling more than I'd ever sold in my life. So I'm like, that was a big deal for a guy that's coming out of a treatment center, right? I needed a win, man. I needed a big W on Grant's scoreboard, and I needed it quick. And that's why that first day was important, but the first month was even more important. And then I'm like, dude, I could actually, 3 or 4, 5, 6 months into this thing, I'm like top 1% in the industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
This saved my life.
That's where you talk about swag.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's when I started getting oh my God, I don't have to be on cocaine. I don't have to smoke weed. I don't have to pop a pill, and I can feel good about myself,
Yeah. You see this visually all the time with athletes. My husband and I talk about it all the time, but I can remember we're both University of Tennessee graduates, and I can remember we hit a point a few years ago where we got some swag back. So my husband used the same word. He's like, we're playing with some swag. And I'm like, yes. And it's the same thing with business. It's the same thing with my women.
Yeah.
They want to close a deal. They go to get a yes. They want to create these multi-million-dollar businesses, but the swag's not there. And so when I read it in your book, I was like, yes, this is confidence. This is so important.
And that's why money is so important, okay? Money is a score. It's just like, it's not money, man. People are like, I don't need to make money. Yeah, but you need to win.
That's right.
And you can't win on this planet without measuring money, okay? If you do a good job and you're not paid for that, you're not going to feel good sooner or later. Because sooner or later, you're going to be like, why am I doing better job than anyone, and I'm not being acknowledged for it somehow? So, because you're going to be reminded when you go to Whole Foods tonight that you're not doing good enough to pay for the bag of groceries. So I started making money for the first time, and I was like, and I started saving money.
Yeah.
And then this became another win for me. It wasn't just the sale now, because I know people that are good at sales, but they're not good with money.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
happens if you're good at sales and not good with money, you will quit being good at sales. I promise you.
Yep.
And so I don't know how deep you've gotten into the book, but there's a whole chapter about why you got to be obsessed about money.
I've read the whole book twice. I got it Friday night.
Awesome.
I read the whole book twice.
Awesome. You know, it's already number one on Amazon.
I know.
Yeah.
We're actually giving away 100 copies here today at the end of this podcast.
Oh, that is
so
awesome.
all of my customers are getting a copy. All of my sales school students are getting a copy. And then we're going to raffle off some other ones, because I mean this, my people know me. I'm not a BSer. I'm a straight shooter. Your books, all of them, they're highlighted like people highlight the Bible. This is by far and away the best one. It is a roadmap for success. And it is a roadmap for how to make your dreams come true.
Oh, wow. You're getting me so excited. You have no idea how good you're making me feel. Okay, this book was very hard for me to write. Okay, it took 19 months for us to get it out. And my first book took 3 hours to write. I wrote the Millionaire booklet in 2 hours. Had it out in 38.
Came home from a charity event, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Came home from a charity event, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I get really inspired to do things. Like I get moments of inspiration to like an artist to paint something or write something. And this book was more difficult for me, right? So anyway, so it gets me really excited that you love it.
I do. I absolutely love it. I can't wait for our entire audience to go out and buy it. And you can just, you may be new to Grant. If you're a woman and you learn from me, you're probably not, because you've been under a rock if you don't know who Grant is. But my 8-year-old daughter this morning said, "Mommy, what are you doing at work today?" And I said, "Well, Mommy is interviewing a sales legend. His name is Grant Cardone." And she said, "Well, what's he do?" And I said, "Well, he does what Mommy does, but on a much bigger scale." And she said, "I don't understand. Why are you nervous?" And I said, "Hallianna, she loves Star Wars, Grant." I said, "Hallianna, it would be like if you were sitting down to interview George Lucas." And she said, "Oh, I got it, Mommy."
Oh, wow. How old is your daughter?
She's 8.
All right.
She's 8.
Tell her hello for me. She's got a friend named Sabrina who's 7 now. So her and Sabrina would be
fantastic
awesome together. Yeah.
So let's talk about family for a minute.
Yeah.
So I'm the stereotypical woman, and I cried when I read the dedication to your book to your wife. And my husband's like, "Are you kidding me? You're crying over the dedication?" I said, "Yes, I'm a stereotypical woman." But what got me was the part where you talk about, never once did your wife say you're working too hard. You know, you're focused on this. I'm taking liberty with words, but you're focused on work all the time.
Yeah.
Never once. Talk to me about that, Grant. How do you create that kind of household?
Well, so first, let me bring you back, okay? Because when I came out of the treatment center, right, I threw myself completely into the work. Well, the first thing I started hearing from everybody was like, "Oh my God, my mom, my sister, my sponsor, you know, the drug addict, what was it, Narcotics Anonymous sponsor, the 12-step program." Everybody's like, "Dude, you're just taking one addiction and replacing it with another addiction." I'm like, yeah. What's the problem with that, bro? Shit, I'm making money. I feel good about myself. I'm confident. I'm making customers. I'm making friends. I'm in the community. I'm there early. I stay late. I'm having a blast. Yeah, but you're just replacing one addiction with another one. And this is what the counselor told me in the treatment center too. Hey, give up any ideas of fame, all these ideas, because you share your whole story in a treatment center. They make you really like puke it all out. And so I told them I want to be famous. I want to be rich. I want to have a hot wife. You know, I want to have it all, man. And they said, drop all those ideas. And particularly in the 12-step program, you know, which was a great place for me to go to for a while, they kept saying, "Look, the only thing that matters is you don't use today." And I'm like, dude, I got to have more than just not using. Mm-hmm. Like the story of my life has been everybody telling me to slow down. You know, this is where I got in trouble. And this is really what the book's about. I got in trouble when I started denying my obsessions and squelching it and stopping it. And the reason I dedicated the book to my wife is the first person in my entire life. I mean, it makes me tear up when I think about it. Yeah. First person in my entire life that has not asked me. And I'm talking everybody in my life. The first person that has not said, "Do less." Yeah. She has never, ever, not one time said, "You're working too hard. You push too much. You go too fast, except when I drive. She's never said you think too big, except for maybe two other people in my life, which both are billionaires, by the way. The third one's on his way to being a billionaire. Three other people in my life, super humongous, successful people. When I get around these guys and I tell them what I want to do, they never say you can't, or I shouldn't, or I'm thinking too big. And my wife, that's why I dedicated the book to my wife, because she has never, ever, all she does is throw freaking fuel on the fire. She's like, yeah, do it. She's like throwing kerosene and wood and anything that'll burn on top of the fire.
Yes. So we have this tradition in our house, and my husband and I go to this little restaurant every Thanksgiving in Tennessee. Our parents keep our daughter, and we go to this restaurant. And over the course of building my business for 5 years, we talk about where we've been, where we're, how the business is going. And the beginning was rough. I worked for 2.5 years before I made a profit. And never once, I guess that's why your dedication got me so much. Never once has he said, you dream too big. Right? Never once has he said, you want to be a female who makes $1 billion and owns her own jet? You had me at Jet, Grant. I'm like, yeah, I do. And he's like, let's do it. So I totally get that level of support. And I guess that's why, it really tapped into my emotional phase when I read it in your book.
Yeah. And look, it's really difficult for people to deliver that, because
it is.
See, what you're banging up against with your spouse or your mom or your dad is everybody's quit. Everybody's like, huh? Everybody's quit. Okay. That's not a bad thing. I quit. Everybody needs to understand. Anybody's like, oh, I never quit. Dude, everybody quits. People quit. You got 80 billion cells in your body. Okay. There's a billion cells quitting right now. They're like, I'm done. I'm out of here. And then a new one creates, right? So there's all kind of quit going on in our universe every day. And so to ever get somebody around you that's, when you start hitting the struggles like you guys did and took 2.5 years to make any money, man, it's easy for the people around you to say, hey, Kendrick, maybe give it up. Maybe it's the best thing to bail out of this deal. Maybe we need to think about doing something different. So you pushing, right? And everybody needs to understand this. When you start really pushing toward your dreams, you are igniting you're re-stimulating everybody's memories of when they've given up on some dream they had.
Yeah.
And so they have to make sense of it, right? And the way to make sense of, you're crazy, Kendrick. You're nuts. Your obsession's going to kill you. You're not going to be a good mother. You're not going to be a good wife. You're not making time for your husband and blah, blah, blah. And none of that's true. You guys can be obsessed with everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to be, I know you got lots of things to do. I got 2 more questions for you.
Yeah, take your time, Kendrick. I got plenty of time for you.
Okay. It's sort of like you're teeing me up and setting me up for exactly where I want to go. The majority of my audience is women. We talked about that. I think we're 92% women. We're going to have our first 7-figure year this year. And the number one question I get asked all the time has nothing to do with sales, Grant. It has to do with, how are you a mama and a businesswoman? How do you do it? And that leads into where, you talk about balance in the book. And I've said this my whole life. I don't want balance.
Yeah.
Give me more of what I love and less of what I hate. I don't want balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I confess, there are times when I've got stuff I need to do, and I feel like I am shortchanging my daughter. So how do you got 4 kids? Is that right, Grant?
No, I have two kids.
Two daughters. 2
kids, and then maybe another billion.
Okay, well there you go.
See, I think I have a lot of kids. I think there's more than just my children that I'm responsible for.
Okay.
So the mother that's out there, but you don't understand. You're not a mom. I said, look, man, I am a terrible mom. I'm a terrible mom and a great father.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to be a good mom. I'm not going to try to be a mom. So I can't be everything. My dad died when I was 10, and my mom tried to be a mom and a dad. Look, you guys can't do it, man. Any more than you need to be a good nanny or a good house cleaner or a good car washer. Okay. And you don't need to be taking care of the dog. So you got to give something up. Yeah. So the same people, the 92% of your audience is women. The other 8% are a bunch of troll guys that are looking for women, right?
Yes.
You,
Yes.
you probably
That's
got a
Bulldog Prada.
bunch of guys just trolling your audience.
Yes.
But, you know, how many of those women have dogs? Well, then why have a dog? How many of you are trying to be a housekeeper as well as everything else? You do not want a balanced life. You need to make a list of the things you don't want to do and pay somebody else to do it.
Okay, ladies, listen. Like, seriously, I did this year. I got this advice from a brilliant businesswoman. Her name's Allie Brown. And she said, you're going to crash. You're going to lose everything that you have built. You need to make a list of everything you can delegate and do it today. And it has changed my life.
Yeah.
So see, you've heard it from me, and now you're hearing it from one of the most successful people of all time. Do it.
Yeah,
Just do it.
That's
You want to make millions of dollars. You want to be on Oprah, whatever, ladies. You can't do it all. You can't.
Well, why would you want to?
Why would you want to? Exactly.
Why would you want to do some of that stuff?
Yeah.
Right? Like I like guns. I don't like cleaning guns. So I get somebody else to clean the guns.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
I like to go out on a boat every once in a while. But so I just lease somebody's boat and give it back to them and say, boom, you clean it up, right? So, you guys got to pick what you really what are you obsessed with?
Yeah.
You know?
And this plays right into the book. What are you obsessed with? You're going to be obsessed with something. You just are, right? Well, you are in your life.
You are. You already are.
Yeah.
You could be obsessed with the wrong things, though.
Sure.
So I think everybody's obsessed and in denial. And my life turned around when I admitted, hey, dude, I am obsessed, okay? And I made a list of things that I've always been obsessed with since I was a little 6 or 7 or 8-year-old kid. It's not new, okay? Oh, by the way, ladies, okay? If you abandon your dreams, how good a mom are you?
And that's the reason I started my business right there. I mean, that's it. I was holding our 2-year-old daughter, rocking her to sleep because I am a nurturer. I rocked.
Yeah.
And I put her in the crib and I walked into our room and I said to my husband, I'm living a lie. I tell this girl she can be anything she wants to be when she grows up. And she's going to wake up and see her mom is a damn good salesperson. She sells pharmaceuticals and she's not happy. Yeah. Her dreams are somewhere else. And I said to my husband 5 years ago in Chicago, Illinois, it changes today. Whatever that, and I became obsessed at that point with figuring out what I loved and being a role model for that little girl to say, yes, you can. And it's changed my life. Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. Do men and women sell differently, Grant?
Well, I just want to cover one thing real quick because I think it's really important about this dream thing, all right? Like, I believe that the woman or the man that says, oh, I got my kids to take care of, don't use a kid for an excuse.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
Shame on you.
But you don't understand, Grant. Like, dude, look, you gave up on your dreams. Though you had dreams before you had a kid. And if you'll give up on your dreams, you'll give up on everything. And your dreams are inherent to you, the individual, okay? And if the dream becomes less important than the kids or the marriage, guess what happens? If you give up on the first thing and then you had the marriage and then you had the kids, notice how many people are putting their kids first and their marriage is completely lost.
It is.
So like look at the order in which you had babies. Okay, I had my dreams before I was a father and before I was a husband and before I was a salesman. So the salesman just allows me to make my dreams come true. So don't abandon your dreams. Find out, make a list of things you're obsessed with. Like I've been obsessed with being famous, with writing books. Since I was 8, I wanted to write books. It took me 50 years to write 42 years to write my first book. So I would just say, make a list of what you are obsessed with and or have given up with. And your next question was, do men and women
sell differently?
Yeah, they do, but they shouldn't.
Why? Tell me why.
And you shouldn't sell because you guys have all these ideas about, I'm a woman, I can't do that. Look, when a woman comes into my office, I'm not looking at a woman.
Oh, come on. Is that true?
I am not thinking. Look, I don't have time to think about your sex. You know what I'm thinking about the whole time?
What?
I'm thinking about my time.
Okay.
When you walk in my office, I'm wondering, why the hell did I make time for this person?
Okay.
I'm not looking at your age. I'm not looking at your complexion. I'm not looking at whether you colored your hair today or not. Okay. I don't care about any of that. Dude, why am I spending time with you? Now, the woman thinks, oh, God, I wish I was a guy, or my hair's not right, or my makeup. Dude, you're selfish. You guys think about yourselves too much.
We do. You're absolutely right, and I love it. I'm secretly obsessed with that. But it's interesting. Yeah. I'm fascinated by this idea, and this may be a conversation for a later time about when men and women shouldn't sell differently. I'd love to know more about that.
It's like a kid being 22 saying, "Look, I'm only 22." You're the only one talking about that. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not thinking about whether you're black or white or Iranian. I don't care. You're the one that cares.
So, do we use different tools to get to a yes?
No. You need to understand sales, and understand that I'm not going to buy from you because you're a woman.
All right.
I'm not gonna buy from you because you're a man. I never ever think about that.
All right, good deal. So part 2 of this
you can't even think with that. You can't even think with that right now, can you?
I can't. That's what I'm saying. Part 2 of this interview has got to be
because you guys have convinced yourself that this is a man and woman, Mars and Venus. The Mars and Venus thing was bullshit.
Oh, I don't know. No, I don't know because our DNA is different.
Kendrick.
Is different.
Men are not from Mars, and women aren't from Venus. You're from freaking Earth.
That's right, but our DNA is different. 1% of our DNA is different. Men are more likely, because of their DNA, to be aggressive.
Let me tell you something. When it comes down to a damn business agreement, we ain't trading DNA unless you're selling some other kind of business.
And this is why I love Grant Cardone.
Okay, look, we're going to exchange this. Hopefully this doesn't have any DNA on it, okay? I mean, you're in a different business. You need to go to Vegas where it's legal if you're going to trade DNA.
Oh, come on. Okay. All right.
I'm just saying, look, when we're doing a business deal, I'm not thinking about DNA. I'm not thinking about that 1%. I'm thinking about, what do you have? How does it help me? Does it solve a problem? Oh, by the way, why am I even spending time on this right now?
Yeah.
What are you doing in my office? Is it going to be a waste of time, particularly if I'm qualified? And the more qualified somebody is to buy something, the more they have time on their mind.
Yeah, I do completely agree with that. I'm 100% sold on that. Absolutely. Grant, our time is up. 30 minutes. Thank you so much. Listen, awesome. I don't have the hard copy, but what I want to tell you all is read it 2 times. It's already highlighted, notes in it. We're giving away 100 copies. You must go get this book.
Can I say one other thing, Kendrick? Let me just tell you what we're trying to do, okay?
Of course.
This weekend, a billionaire reached out to me. He had a copy of the book, and he's like, hey, you have to get this book in high schools.
Yeah.
And I said, why? What happened? He's like, this book is going to give kids at that critical moment in their life when they're getting lost, it's going to give them permission to be who they are. He's like, you wrote this perfectly to grab somebody in the 10th grade. And then he started telling me 26% of kids are bored in school, 39% are tired. How can somebody be tired in school? Because they're being taught stuff they don't want to learn. So he's like, I'll donate 2,000 copies. You send them to whatever. You handle the shipping and handling. I'm going to get this started. This weekend, I think we had 6,883 books donated to schools around the country. We'll handle the shipping. We'll handle the distribution. We'll pick the school unless you have a favorite one. Obsessed@grantcardone.com. We'll get it handled.
Great. So my alma mater is Sweetwater High School in Sweetwater, Tennessee. And Grant, you just sold me. I'm going to buy another 100, 200, 300, 400 books for Sweetwater High School. So I'll get in touch with Sherry about that.
Dude, that is awesome, buddy. Thank you, Kendrick. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. That's how relevant, that's how important I believe this book is. You know, I do not tell you to do stuff that is a waste of time. Go pre-order the book today. It will change your life. Grant, my pleasure. I hope I wasn't too nervous.
You were great. One of the best interviews I've ever done. By the way, we got to do it again. Pick up this other thing about sales.
I can't wait. I'm so ready.
All right, buddy.
All right, thanks. Have a great day.
Thanks.